Jim, Steve, thanks very much. I'd like to now call on the Commander Maritime Forces Pacific, Rear Admiral Greenwood, to also do a special presentation. Sir.
Dave, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be here representing the Canadian Navy, that is the Royal Canadian Navy, in presenting Nelson's famous quote, "Back to the college and the university." Oh, by the way, graduating class of 79, 12286, for those that didn't hear it at sea this morning, I still haven't been taken up on it, so I'm willing to honor my debt should anyone challenge me later in the evening. But I am indeed very glad to be here and representing the military college graduates also as we present this significant piece of college history back to the university. It's hard to overestimate or overstate the degree to which this quote has been imprinted on generations of Royal Roads graduates. I think what expressed it to me best was some 7 years after graduation, in making his excuses for not attending my wedding, one of my best friends from college started his letter with, "Duty is the great business of this air officer," and etc., which was felt to be a very adequate and suitable excuse for not being at my wedding. But I don't know how many of you can remember your first feelings on seeing and being made to memorize this quote. Perhaps it was inspiring, perhaps a degree of fear and loathing, but all of us had our different approaches to it. Certainly it was an uncompromising ethic, and that was drilled into us here at Royal Roads, and we took that forward in our careers, not just in how we applied ourselves at college. And I always used to think that as an officer, as I grew more senior and had to address myself to parades of graduates, I imagined that somehow Nelson must have spoken this to a number of junior officers, and I thought, if I couldn't be quite as inspiring, perhaps I could be equally terrorizing. But then I tried to give it some historical context by looking up the quote and finding out more about it. Imagine my great surprise to find out that Nelson had written this in the Caribbean at sea in 1786 to his prospective bride. Now, my wife, with her experienced appreciation for the romantic appeal of duty, said that was Fanny's first clue that she should have headed for the hills at the high port. And indeed later she found out to her grief that that is exactly what she should have done. But in any case, we remembered this quote and we took it forward. As I said, it was a rather uncompromising ethic, and it doesn't always play as well today as it played in Nelson's time. And those of us in the Navy who look to build a modern Navy for the future that's sustainable, not just in our seagoing officers and sailors, but in the families that support them, know that there has to be a little more balance in our duty. And we have to see the duty in different ways. But in any case, it is something that represents not just duty, but dedication. And I think in restoring this to the college, albeit here in the back entranceway and not over the lintels, I think it's appropriate to recognize the dedication of Royal Roads University in embracing their history, bringing this quote back to the college where generations of ex-cadets can come and reflect on it again, remember the times that they had here and the great friendships that they established, but more than that, the very, very warm personal rapport and identification that ex-cadets have with this beautiful place. And so I would like to thank Royal Roads for inviting us to restore this here and giving it a place of honor. Thank you very much.
Admiral, thank you very much for the words and indeed for the gesture that is represented behind the delivery of that plaque. I see Captain Don Smith, one of your friends from Fleet Maintenance Facility, best little shipyard west of Marystown, in my humble opinion. And I know that you and your team put some special effort into the creation of this plaque. And I think those vibes will sit in it and resonate in this little space for some time to come. For those folks who haven't been in this little room to see the artifacts that are here and the history, it serves as, I think, the portal, a very precise and rather energetic portal between the College of old and the Royal Roads University of today. And I think that with my uniform service and with my life as an alum now, I help serve and act in that role as well. And I feel quite honored to be one of the guys that Alan sometimes calls upon to help bridge the two cultures, the two institutions still today. The camera work in here is actually nothing personal, a tad inadequate, because if you'd have looked at my wife Becky's eyes when you did the little piece about the families, and you'd have seen, well, I wouldn't say quite daggers, but a reflection. And those of us who serve even in the kinder, gentler age where we do seek balance, know that even today it is the families that pay a very big price to support these words. Both the mace and the quote are seemingly historical in nature, and indeed they have their historical place. But as I look at them both, I think about what they do, how they act today. That quote has touched every sailor and certainly every naval officer, whatever the Navy. It is the most profound set of words that speaks of service, unreserved service that I know of. A good friend of mine, John Kyle, just did a paper looking at the leadership style of Nelson in a modern context, to take what occurred now hundreds of years ago and bring it forward in terms of human leadership. And you know what? The fellas still got it. And we all stand to learn from the style, the approach, the compassion that Nelson was famous for. The mace is about authority, authority in law. And whether it's the uniforms or folks going off to do NGO work, we're wise to remember what authorities we do and do not have, what capacities we do and what not do and do not have, what laws it is that we serve and represent. We're also wise to remember that moral suasion, moral power, the gathering capacity of leadership, devotion, and service goes a long way too. Thanks for bringing that home.
Admiral Greenwood, Admiral Gerard, thank you both very much for honoring the significance of these two special presentations. I certainly can add nothing further to what you two have indicated already. I would like to extend an invitation certainly to all of you on the quarterdeck right now at some point while you're here on the weekend to come down and look at this great site. There's one other little plaque that's at the very top that Royal Roads wanted to add this year, and it says Royal Roads honoring the past, and I think that is what we're going forward with in this area, to try to honor the past, and thus 3 and 4 of the special artifacts have been returned already, and we'll look at others. There is a military heritage committee at Royal Roads University, as I mentioned earlier, and with that committee we'll be looking at other projects, other artifacts, memorabilia to bring back and honor this area as well. So thank you everyone. Admirals, thank you. Jim, Steve, thanks very much, and enjoy your gin and tonic up there on the quarterdeck. We'll see you shortly.